Welcome back to this series where we're going to talk about anti-racism and dealing with discrimination that we go through pretty much every day in our lives in various forms. So there are 5 things that the policymakers and the government can do to begin with, because this process is changing people's minds and behaviors. It's not going to happen overnight. We can't tear down monuments and change street names and expect everything will be fine, because racism isn't in the monuments, racism is in our society. So the first thing to do is to start at the very beginning. Schools where kids go and learn about each other, learn about the society. That's where it all begins. It's where our emotions and our values are formed. Right now, when I drive around the UK in various areas, for example, I live in South London, which has a very big black population. And if you go past any school, you see hundreds of black kids coming out with a dot of white person here and there. All schools should have quotas, or they should be forced to have an equal distribution of children. If they can't, then yes, I can understand that they can't force people to send their kids 20 miles away just so they can fit a quota. But the quality will only improve if you have a good mix of kids from various backgrounds growing up together, because they are more accepting than adults. And if they grow up together, they become friends. They don't notice the color. They don't notice the differences in even the status of their parents in societies, because you are just friends. You see the person for who they are rather than their skin color. And yes, kids are cruel, but they're also honest, and they learn and grow and change. So the first thing is to have a decent distribution of mixed students in schools. In England, we should introduce school buses that should be free, provided by the government, to take kids to school. Instead of parents driving their kids to school and causing pollution, there should be school buses like in most other countries in America, where the bus goes past your house and takes you to school. So if you have to drive for 5 miles to get to a school where you meet the distribution of the variety of kids we need, then that's it. It's fine. This whole idea of mothers and fathers driving their kids to school, or taking their kids to school, or walking their kids to school and then rushing to work, it causes traffic jams, pollution, and also when one kid gets out of a Mercedes and the other one gets out of a Ford, that's where small differences and discrimination starts. Second thing is the uniform. All the uniforms should be provided by the school, and they should be the same quality, all kids. Or if they're not provided by the school, there should be special tailors that are designated where you can go and buy your school uniform, so the fabrics and the quality is exactly the same. So when kids go to school, they don't feel that they're different. I think in the UK we're doing very well with that. In other countries, I noticed that they don't have school uniforms and kids can show off money and things. Then jewelry should be completely forbidden in schools, because that's also a sign of showing some kind of discrimination, or showing someone that you're better than them or worse off. Equality should start at school. I am a conservative, so for those of you who are going to jump down my throat and say, oh, this is very Marxist or left-wing, it isn't. This is about improving our society and creating better human beings. These are the kind of things we need to start with. Then the syllabus. At the moment, we are teaching kids all kinds of stuff that they learn and pass exams, but they never use in their life. History is never taken very seriously. Philosophy is not taken very seriously. These should be taught at a very young age. People growing up need to learn about what happened in the past with slavery, with discrimination. And it's not just black against white, Japanese against Chinese. All these things need to be taught. Children need to learn what happened in the past, because they will grow up understanding how those things impacted lives of our forefathers in previous generations, and how these kids should not make the same mistakes. Each community in any borough or suburb should have an equal distribution of different types of nations. Again, it sounds like a very controlled, totalitarian, government-controlled state where people are being told what to do and where to live. That's not what I'm saying. By doing this distribution of schools, people will automatically move because they want to be closer to their kids and they want to live in an area where the kid is going to school. Yes, introducing school buses will make it easier, but at the same time, people will start reshuffling and distributing. There are so many types of policies that the government currently enforces upon us that are a violation of our freedom and rights. So having a policy that says you can't have more than, 200,000 black households in one area or 200,000 Indian households in one area makes sense, because we want integration, we want even distribution of people. At the moment, there's so many areas in the UK where you can drive for 5-10 minutes and not see a white person because there are ethnic minorities living there. Similarly, you can go to certain other areas where you won't see any ethnic minorities and it's all white. And if you don't have that kind of a good mix, then people never learn about each other. So, for example, if I have never seen a black person or spoken to a black person, and I've only seen movies where black people are portrayed as criminals or gangsters, and then suddenly one day I am faced with a black person who is wearing a hoodie and he's got dreadlocks and maybe some tattoos or piercings or something that is not normal for me, I will be scared because my association will be from the films or media. And that person just may be a regular person. Because I don't have any exposure to it, I don't know how to deal with it. And maybe I won't be scared, but my body language, my reactions to seeing that person will make them feel uncomfortable. They will feel that I am being racist as a result of my body language. I can guarantee you this, that people that you think are scary, people you think are weird, if you go and talk to them for 5 minutes, you will change your mind. Deep down inside, we're all children and we're afraid and we want someone to like us. We want to be part of a community. We want to be part of a group. But that community should be a mixture of all kinds of backgrounds, religions, races, and we should learn to be helpful and friendly and accepting of each other rather than discriminating. And discrimination only happens because of lack of understanding of each other. A lot of people who watch this video will think this is all about white people discriminating. It's not. I have personally experienced numerous times racism and discrimination from the black community towards me. I've gone to black clubs where I have been told to leave because I was not black. I have gone to black areas where I have been heckled and shouted at and threatened. Similarly, I've gone to communities in the UK where it's completely Asian, and you get looks, you get comments, and this is me, someone who could be half black, who could be Asian, who could be Mexican, who could be Spanish, who could be Italian. I could be anything. So I'm supposed to be that chameleon that just blends in halfway into anything. And if I feel like this, then imagine a white blonde person going into these places. How would they feel? So it's both ways. It's not just one way. But all of this is a result of us not knowing each other. And the government can take a lot of steps to change how we perceive each other, how we can stop discriminating against each other. And this is by teaching people at schools, in community centers. And we should also have seminars and conferences set up on a quarterly basis where we have open forums, and we should bring psychologists, we should bring philosophers, we should bring historians, academics to talk in open forums and take questions from people who don't understand what racism and discrimination is. How can we address it? What can we do in our daily life? What I try to do, and unfortunately it backfires on me many times, is when I go out and I see a minority, I always try to make eye contact with them and I try to smile at them because I want them to feel that they are part of our society. And only last week I was in South London getting a pizza and these two black guys walked past me. I made eye contact and the guy turned around and said, "What are you looking at me for, white boy?" And I was just thinking, I was being polite and there was no need for that. But because somehow he thought I was judging him or I was looking at him in some way, so it goes both ways, and it can't be dealt with by just 1 or 2 or 20 or 100 people. It has to be done on a mass scale around the country, where on TV, on the internet, we should have these discussions, these conferences, and we should bring people from various backgrounds, various religions, who talk about what to do, how to deal with it, how they feel. So bringing stories from different people's lives, that's the way forward where we can fix these issues. Burning down shops, stealing things, protesting, defacing public property, private property, burning flags, throwing statues in rivers, none of this makes any difference. My biggest issue with protesters is they think they are doing something great and they feel really good about it because they've gone out and protested and suddenly they have become the saviors of the world and they have done their job, they feel good about it, and they go home and they have a glass of wine or a cup of tea and they feel, yes, I have accomplished something. In reality, I think they're the kind of people who just want someone else to fix their problem, because protest alone, without a manifesto, without an idea, without an action, means nothing, because you're going out shouting and you want someone else to fix it. If you want to fix things, fix them yourself. All these actions start with you. So if you really believe in a cause, then take some steps and do something. Just going out, screaming and shouting about it and coming home and saying, "I've done my job," means nothing. And as I said in one of my other videos, if you look back in history, all of our ancestors did something bad at some point. It's impossible to say that any one of us has a completely uncheckered past. Someone in our ancestors was racist, was horrible, was a murderer, was a criminal. It's just statistics. So we need to fix our society ourselves, and we can only do that collectively with the help of the government. So if you like this video, please share it with your friends and family and post it on social media, because hopefully the government and those in the position of power to make a difference can start some kind of forums and seminars and discussions where we can address these things and collectively make a decision how to do it, rather than a one-sided scream that goes to one extreme and then bounces to the other.